The Republican Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, well-known face on cable news, could be impeached tomorrow by the GOP-led State House in Texas. A 5-member committee with a majority, 3 Republicans on it, unanimously referred articles of impeachment to the full House. The 3 conservatives moving against a powerful fellow Republican leader.
The chair moves that the committee adopt the articles of impeachment against Warren Kenneth Paxton, Attorney General of the state of Texas. There being 5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 present not voting, the motion prevails.
Paxton's become a nationally known figure, talking about issues like the border and various other conservative causes. But Republicans on the committee apparently felt they had to move forward against him on some serious charges, outlined during a 3-hour-plus hearing at the state capitol yesterday. Investigators allege that Paxton broke numerous state laws to help a key donor, a real estate developer named Nate Paul. They say Paxton ignored warnings from his subordinates about his dealings with this donor and even helped get Paxton's mistress a job with Paul.
So is it fair to say the OAG's office was effectively hijacked for an investigation by Nate Paul through the Attorney General, Ken Paxton?
That would be my opinion.
The investigation began in March after Paxton's office asked the state for $3.3 million to settle a case with 4 former Paxton deputies who blew the whistle on Paxton and took their concerns to law enforcement. But first, they aired their concerns directly to Paxton. One of the investigators detailed how former Deputy Attorney General Blake Brickman warned the AG of the dangers of his dealings with this donor.
Brickman knew at that point that Nate Paul was a donor. He was also aware about the federal investigation. He advised General Paxton to have nothing to do with Nate Paul and strongly advised against the OAG getting involved in this lawsuit, in fact, in anything concerning Nate Paul's business. General Paxton, in return, told Brickman that he believed Paul was wronged by law enforcement.
So what happens next? Republican lawmakers in the Texas State House have been quiet, but Paxton seems to think the writing's on the wall. He's going on the offensive against Republican State House Speaker Dade Phelan, accusing him of being drunk during a recent legislative session, calling on him to resign. Quote, "It is with profound disappointment that I call on Speaker Dade Phelan to resign at the end of this legislative session. Texans were dismayed to witness his performance presiding over the Texas House. In a state of apparent debilitating intoxication, his conduct has negatively impacted the legislative process and constitutes a failure to live up to his duty to the public." Now, if the State House does impeach, Paxton would be removed from office immediately, pending a trial in the Senate. So the only way he would be able to return is if he's acquitted by the state Senate, which would require a 2/3 majority for conviction. And yet, in another wild twist to this crazy story, one of the senators who would decide Paxton's fate would be his wife, Angela Paxton. And one of the allegations she'd have to consider was that her husband had an affair with a staffer in another senator's office. Joining us now is Ryan Chandler, Capitol correspondent for KXAN, our Next Star affiliate in Austin, Texas. He's been all over the Capitol speaking to lawmakers about this story. Thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. All right, so the Republican-led House there is really going to impeach Ken Paxton?
Dan, given the conversations that we've had with members and Capitol observers all around this community, that leads us to believe that is the only realistic conclusion. That could come tomorrow, that could come on Saturday, but this committee has moved very quickly, which has been a surprise to, I think, everybody in the Capitol community. And keep in mind, here in Texas, impeachment works a little bit differently than it does in D.C. In the Texas House, you only need a simple majority of legislators to vote to impeach. Let's break down how that math works. There's 64 Democrats in the Texas House. There's a majority required of 75 members. So just then, you need less than a dozen Republicans to vote to impeach to immediately remove the Attorney General from his post. he will be out of office until the Senate, as a sworn jury, decides to convict and permanently remove.
Yeah, let me
However, it looks like the math is stacking against Paxton tonight.
So, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.